we spent arrival day enjoying the sights of the Sensoji temple area near the hotel.
Lots of people were looking at this roof balcony. Then the children came on and we realised why.
In the evening, we returned and had noodle soup here.
Next day, we took the subway to central Tokyo. At the Sony Centre, we enjoyed the video trailers for the city's kabuki performances.
出会ってしまう。怪我でもしたらどうするんだ。もう行っちゃうんです。今日は一生懸命戦い。
The Imperial Palace was disappointing, as there was little to see, and the very friendly policeman was only able to say that most of the people on this distant bridge were security guards.
The fountains were nice though, and if you're looking for an £800 handbag, Tokyo's Ginza district is the place to go.
Now our group got together for the first meal, when the pot boiled dry and nobody ate the tripe.
At the Sensoji temple the next day, businessmen were making offerings and praying for success in their ventures.
We bought tickets for the river trip and we sailed past Tokyo's towering apartment.
To land here at the tranquil Hammer Palace Garden. At the Meiji Shrine, Liam demonstrated the correct way to wash before entering.
A little bit of the left hand, see that, transfer, to the right. Transfer again. This time you cup some water, pop into an actual flow extra if you so want to clean the handle, and you turn it.
But the wash, I think it was happening.
A wedding photo shoot was a souvenir opportunity for our group.
Only a few of the prayer boards were not in Japanese.
Jennifer's ancestors were Japanese, so coming here was special for her.
In a day of contrast, we walked a short way to this busy street famous for young fashion.
Back on the train now, heading for the 80-storey government tower. Joyce couldn't look down.
At the end of the day, I made sure we got the right line back to the hotel. Liam had reserved seats for us on the Shinkansen for Himeji. We showed our passes and wait where carriage 4 will stop.
But the first train isn't ours. At 9:03 precisely, it departs.
This is our train. The efficient cleaners get to work, and minutes later we are accelerating away from Tokyo. After checking into the Himeji Hotel, we walked to the impressive castle.
Beautiful garden.
If it is, it's an old-fashioned one.
Next morning, as we waited at the station for our train, an express went through and disappeared before I had time to turn round with the camera. In Hiroshima, we took the tram to the Atomic Dome and the Peace Museum.
Thousands of paper storks are made by children as tokens of the wish for world peace. Liam brought us to this restaurant where everyone enjoyed the local dish of okonomiyaki.
Then we walked a short distance to this garden and spent an enjoyable hour.
Before heading for the ferry to the sacred island of Miyajima. And traditional accommodation and dining in the seaside ryokan.
Getting filmed till politics. That's better.
After dinner, our beds were ready. But Liam had persuaded some of us to venture out wearing our yukatas to see deer and the famous torii gates good lit.
Oh, really?
We had a good night's sleep on the futons, and this view greeted us when we opened the blinds. We all went to the viewpoint in the cable car.
But it was misty and cold, so we didn't stay long.
After lunch we had a short walk and ended here at the picturesque Desho Inn Temple. Two ferries and a bus took us to our next stop in Matsuyama.
Right, yeah, next is food. Oh, I've seen some.
After checking into our hotel, we rode a tram to the castle, which is reached by a chairlift or a cable car if you don't fancy the open air option.
Now we return to our hotel next to the 1,000-year-old Dogo Onsen hot spring spa bath.
There were queue for the baths when we went out for our evening meal with Liam.
Later we went to the illuminated garden. This train was full of children on an excursion.
At Kotahira we explored a little, and then everybody set off to climb the 785 steps to the Kompira-san shrine, which is dedicated to the gods of the sea, fertility and medicine. Now don't wait for me to catch you up.
Why are horses here is a mystery. We reached the top at last and turned to watch others coming.
I even tried a 5 yen, I got so desperate.
Later, a 20-course Japanese-style banquet was served at our ryokan.
Next day we had a bus trip to the Laya Valley and did touristy things.
A boat ride along the gorge.
And a visit to the Stone Museum and the House of Curiosities.
After an enjoyable lunch at this restaurant, with this great view from its terrace, Geoff and most of the others walked gingerly across the rope bridge.
knows what the video will be.
Camera on you, Bob. Two sisters.
Then we returned to Kotahira on an incredibly twisty road. We changed trains at Takamatsu on the way to Tokushima.
It's raining for the first time on our trip, but fortunately the planned activity is a visit to the dance theatre.
When the professional dancers finished, the audience was invited to dance, and some brave folks had a try.
Ruth got a surprise when she was picked out as one of the best dancers. Fortunately, Liam was on hand to translate.
Without Liam, we wouldn't have come in here, but we had a good meal and an enjoyable evening.
じゃあとりあえずThen step in.
Next morning we waited outside Tully's coffee shop. Then we came to the puppet theatre in taxis.
After admiring the theatre garden, we returned to the town, climbed to where the castle once stood, and found another lovely garden to explore.
Later we enjoyed this free boat trip.
Next day, after a bus ride and a ferry, we wait anxiously at Wakayama station for Liam to arrive in the third taxi from the ferry. Hooray, he's here. We won't be stranded.
The school children are always pleased to see foreigners.
The train passed villages with traditional houses as it climbed into the hills.
Of its historical and cultural importance, Koyasan is...
Then we transferred to a cable car for the final ascent of the mountain to Koyasan.
A bus took us to the temple lodgings. We admired the carvings as we removed our shoes before entering.
This was our room, and the view from it.
The beautiful walls were literally paper thin, and we could hear our neighbours giggling.
now, so the only thing that's guaranteed is that
The
doors were closed.
Yeah.
It is possible they'll
Heavy
stop
woolen
short.
capes kept us warm as our vegetarian meal was served by one of the monks.
Next morning, a local guide took us on a tour of this most holy burial place and explained some aspects of Buddhism.
Like a soldier. Their body or bones were not buried in old ones. It is a memorial. So that
People are offering water to the Buddha.
Joyce does it in a respectful manner.
in the store, and then that's good on.
The monks have blessed the food for the Buddha. After 1 hour, the monks will assume that the Buddha has taken what he needs, and they will then share it between them.
The man standing is Nissan, the Kanka. There is. But here is a Koya-san is a great
After a good
combination of
lunch,
the
we
Shinto
continued our tour.
She was born and raised. Now, with this series of rocks, what do they stand for? Crocodile.
Our last stop was to see the guardians of the Great Gate.
Before we left Koya-san and the cable car, we checked into our Kyoto hotel, not this one.
And later went downtown in 3 unsynchronized taxis for the last formal meal arranged by our excellent guide.
Next day we went to the handicraft centre, then walked by the river and in the park,
where boys played baseball and girls practiced cheerleader routines. On our last day in Kyoto, Liam took us with Alan and Jennifer to the Silver Pavilion, which does not live up to its name because its builder couldn't afford the silver to cover it.
he left us here to enjoy this wonderful temple garden. There are lots of varieties of moss in this garden. All the green is moss.
After a small ice cream, we walked along the Philosopher's Path, famed for cherry blossom in spring. And saw this girl with her father in a small Shinto shrine.
Next, we took the subway across town to Kyoto Castle.
I think this gateway is the most splendid we've seen, isn't it?
Okay.
In town on our last evening, Liam introduced us to a Japanese-style self-service restaurant.
I found these pictures on the internet to remind us of the lamplight tour of the Kyoto Gion area. A memorable end to a great holiday.
Inside Japan with us were Alan and Jennifer,
Christine and Ruth,
Bob, Forco please,
John and Sally,
John and Gwen,
Catherine,
and Catherine, and our super guide Liam.